today you already know what it's gonna be. Just kidding, no, I don't. Well, today I'm gonna talk about my birth experience was. Let me tell you, not good. It was a beautiful experience, but it was also very, 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 very difficult. And I'm not telling you these for the moms that are about to have babies. Like, I'm not telling you to scare you guys. I'm not telling you guys because like this is gonna happen to you. I'm telling you because this is what happened to me and like my body and how my body is, which I hope it don't happen again because I can't do this again. So if you guys want to know what happened and why I was in labor for 4 days, 53 hours, then keep on. So I kind of don't know where to start. I'm kind of just gonna go with the flow, you know. But so I had asked to get induced because I'm gonna just start with kind of like my pregnancy. My pregnancy went good. Like, I didn't throw up, I didn't have like nothing. Like, the only thing I had was like really like sore boobs, but that's like the only thing I had. Like, I didn't have like morning sickness, I didn't have nothing. So like I thought I was having a boy, but I ended up having a baby girl. But I didn't have nothing like wrong with me. Like, I was like fine. But the only thing was I did gain 65 pounds. And the reason why I gained so much weight was because I used to eat out a lot. Like, I'm not even kidding you. Like, I craved meat. Like, I wanted meat like like every single day I wanted meat. So my boyfriend, of course, getting me whatever I wanted, got me meat every single day. Like, literally, like, I would wake up, want meat, go to sleep, want meat. Like, if I didn't eat meat, I was still hungry. And like, that's like bad because like when you're pregnant you eat a lot. So I was like literally eating like and going to sleep, like eating, waking up, going back to sleep. Like, it was just all bad. But yeah, so I ended up gaining a total of 65 pounds. When I had my daughter, I was 213. That's the heaviest I've ever been. And when I got pregnant, I was 150, which I kind of don't care about that anymore because, like, you know, I have my daughter, so it doesn't really matter like how much I will gain, because either way, like, those are my, like, this is my daughter. Like, I don't care. Like, yes, I don't like that I'm not confident. I don't care that, like, I mean, I do care like that, like, I don't have as much confidence and I have stretch marks. And you know what, it's just, that's what happens when you get pregnant. It's gonna happen. Like, you're not gonna be these models that don't have it, like, that don't get nothing. Like, I'm pretty sure half these models have got some type of stretch mark, have got gained weight that they didn't want. But it's like, you have a healthy baby, so it doesn't matter, you know. So I don't really care. But towards the end of my pregnancy, I was really, really swollen. Like, my legs, like, they looked like they were about to bust. Like, I was scared that my legs were gonna bust open. And like, my stomach was so big, like, I felt like I was gonna just like fall over or something. But so I was super big towards the end of my pregnancy, and I couldn't deal with it no more. Like, I told him, like, my doctor was a guy. I told him, like, you know what, I can't do this no more. Have birth to her already. And by this time I was already 40 weeks. Well, I was 35. I was 35 and a half. So I told him, he goes, okay, when you're 40 weeks, we'll induce you. So I'm like, okay. So I was excited, like, oh my God, I'm having a baby now. I was hoping I was gonna go into labor by myself, but I was stuck at 2 centimeters and like I wasn't going nowhere. So I was like, okay, whatever. So then, I don't know what day it was. I think it was Tuesday, April 23rd, which was my original due date. I went in to get induced. I went in at 10 at night because that's when they had availabilities. So I called to make sure that they had a bed ready for me. They told me, yes, come in, whatever. So we got to go in a little earlier. We got in at like 9:30. So I was like super excited, like, oh, it's gonna go by so quick. Like, I'm gonna be so like not even like worry about it. Like, I had my makeup done, everything. Little did I know, we go in and they give us a big old room and we get settled in. We bring all our stuff up, you know. I start bouncing on a ball because they tell me, like, okay, you know, like, you can kind of prepare your body before we start trying to start your labor. So I'm trying to like bounce on a ball, like I'm walking or whatever. By this time it's already 11:30, maybe 12. They come in and they give me a little pill. Well, I don't swallow it. They put it up in your cooter they put it up there and it's supposed to soften your cervix so it starts opening. So they gave me one at 11:30 or 12. I'm not too sure because it kind of was a long time ago. They gave it to me and they're like, okay, you know, we're gonna wait a couple hours and see if you start. They come and they tell me, okay, well, you're still not dilated, you're still at a 2. So they tell me to go walk around again, bounce on the ball, whatever. So then around 2:30 they tell me, okay, we're gonna give you another pill, because I think you can either have it every two hours or 3. Don't quote me on that because I don't really know, but they tell me every 2-3 hours you can have another one. So then they go back in there and they put another one. So I'm hoping by this time, okay, you know, I'm gonna get a little bit going. No, they come back in, I'm still at a 2. Like, nothing has changed. Like, my cervix is not moving, like, nada. So by this time, I'm thinking, okay, they're gonna send me home, because you have to be at least at 3 or 4 for them to keep you. So I'm thinking, okay, they're not gonna keep me, like, they're gonna send me home. No, they keep me there. And I'm just gonna fast forward a little bit, because they gave me at least 4 more pills and nothing happened. By this time, it was already like 7 in the morning. So by this time, I'm still not dilating. So they're like, okay, we're just gonna try the Pitocin, see if that helps anything. When they try to start the Pitocin, they kick it up to like, maybe like, I don't know the milligrams of how much they're supposed to give you, but they start it up. And I'm on it probably, because every hour I think they're supposed to kick it up a little more. I'm on it probably 4 hours and nothing has happened. Like, no dilating, no nothing. So they stop the Pitocin. They stop it and they tell me, okay, your body's like really like not trying to go into labor today. So they're like, okay, we're gonna try something else, which is called, I don't know what it's called, but it's a balloon. They put a balloon up in your cooter and they blow it up, and it's supposed to open your cervix, and then once you get to 4 centimeters, it falls out. So by this time, it's probably like 12:30 maybe. So by 12, I still was nothing. I was still 2. So they tried the balloon, and I was already on Pitocin, and it didn't do nothing. So they were like, okay, this is like kind of like what we need you to be on, so you can start this. So by the time like 1:30 comes, they finally come in and they put the balloon inside me. That balloon took like an hour maybe. Yeah, an hour to open me up all the way to a 4. So it finally falls out. They come back in and they're like, oh my god, you're a 4, like, you know, you're officially like, you know, you can stay now. Like, this was already the whole next day. They tell me, you can stay now, like, you know, this is officially, like, you're not in active labor, but you're in labor. So I'm like, okay, thank God, like, maybe this is what I needed, like, maybe I need that kickstart. Here comes 4:30 comes. I'm still at a 4. By this time, they have checked me so much that literally I was swollen inside, like. And another doctor came in and was like, she's not a 4. And the nurse was like, yes, she's a 4. Like, the balloon fell out. Like, there's no way that the balloon fell out and she's not a 4. He was like, well, it doesn't feel like she's a 4. And I'm like, don't tell me that, because I need to be a 4. And so the lady was like, no, there's no way. And he's like, that's weird. So like, let me tell you, every time they went in there, I cried. I screamed. It hurt so bad after that, because I was so swollen. Every time they went in, like, it just hurt. Like, I was in agony. So finally at the 4, I was like, the girl ain't getting no contractions. Like, I don't feel nothing at this point. The only thing I feel is how swollen I am and how much it hurts when they go in. So it's already probably like 8:30, and they're like, okay, we're gonna start the Pitocin because you're still not dilating. By this time, I've noticed my baby, she doesn't like the monitors on, because they have them on like really, really tight when you're in labor, so they could check the heartbeat and, you know, your contractions, whatever. By this time, I'm having no contractions. like my baby doesn't like the monitors, so she's literally like on one side of my stomach. Like she was like, you could see her, like she was like a big old ball on underneath my rib. It hurt so bad. But I kept asking them like, hey, you know, can you like take off the monitors for a little bit? So then they officially told me like, okay, we're gonna start the Pitocin again after you come back and you lay down. They told me to go walk around. So I'm like, okay, whatever. So I start walking around, I'm bouncing in the ball. I told them like, you know, maybe if I take a shower that like the swelling will go down. Maybe I'll like, you know, open up a little bit. I don't know. 9:30 then, like still that day. And I'm still at a 4. I have not changed at all. So I'm like, okay, whatever. So I'm trying to walk around, trying to start my labor by myself. Nothing. So then I lay back down. It's probably around 12 the next day, that like morning. And they're like, okay, we're gonna start the Pitocin again. They start the Pitocin, and I was literally, they cranked it up to all they could do. Like it literally was like crank maximum that they could give me. And literally like nothing happened. I was getting no contractions. I was like, my baby was uncomfortable because she was like, didn't like the monitor. She was not moving. Well, I didn't know, nobody told me that my baby had flipped. She wasn't flipped to where her head was up, but she was flipped to where her face was facing my belly button. Her face is supposed to be facing, sorry, my nose is itching. Her face is supposed to be facing my back. Well, she had flipped around, and now she's considered sunny side up, which is, if you Google sunny side up, it's when a baby is facing your belly button and the baby is pushing your cervix back to where you won't open up as easy. And if my baby stays that way, I'm gonna have a harder time pushing. They told me, they didn't tell me all this until I was about to give birth, pretty much. So I didn't know my baby's flipped, and I didn't know that's why I was having such a hard time trying to like dilate. You're still not dilating. Like you're literally still at a 4 and you're still swollen. I'm like, what? Like I'm still not, like nothing's happening? They're like, no. And I'm like, oh my God, like what the fuck? So I fall asleep and I'm still on the Pitocin. I fall asleep. I wake up probably like, didn't sleep at all. I woke up probably at 4 or maybe 4, I don't know. I was probably up, but I get up at like 4 and they tell me, okay, we're gonna stop the Pitocin because you're not having no contractions. Like your body's just like kind of like, I don't know what the fuck's happening, you know? So they tell me we're gonna stop the Pitocin, we're gonna break your water, and we're gonna see if that does anything. This was the second day in the morning, like early in the morning. They popped my water and it hurt like a motherfucker because I didn't have my epidural done. And they go inside and they get like a hook kind of thing. They go in there and they pop it, like nick it, like, and I was still swollen. They didn't do nothing for me. They were kind of just like, okay, well. And the nurses there had long nails. I was like, if you're gonna be a labor and delivery nurse, please do not have your nails long as fuck, because that shit is so uncomfortable. They popped it, came out, whatever. I had a lot of water. Well, by that time it was already like 6 or 7. After that, 6 or 7, my doctor comes in and he goes, if you do not dilate within a couple hours, he's like, we're gonna do a C-section. So I'm like, your girl is not gonna have a C-section. No, thank you. Like, no. So I think by that afternoon, by like 1 or 2 in the afternoon, that the second day, I dilated. I was 5. And they tell me, you're still not having no contractions, nothing's happening, you're just dilating really, really slow. I'm tired, I'm over it, like I don't care anymore. So finally, I'm ready. I'm still 5, and they've had the Pitocin on for a while now. They tell me, okay, go walk around, you're still not dilating, like. And while I was walking around, I don't know if it was a hospital or what, but while I was walking around, there was another girl that was there before me, already there for 3 days. She was there a day before me. She was there for 3 days, and she still didn't have her baby. And I was like, girl, like, that's gonna be me, watch. Like, I'm not gonna have my baby. Like, I'm gonna be just like you, like, stuck. And she's like, no, for real. Like, I'm only 6 centimeters. Like, I'm still not dilating at all. And I was just like, girl, I'm on the same boat with you right now. But I was a little bit, like, further than her. I take a shower and I'm like, okay, whatever. Hopefully the swelling goes down, whatever. I didn't really feel the swelling until, like, how much it hurt down there, until they would check me. And they checked me, like, every 2 hours. I don't know why. And maybe because I wasn't dilating. But so by this time it's already, I don't even know anymore. And the second day already, like, it's the second day still, but they tell me, you know what, like, just walk around, like, walk it out, girl, like, you know, try. And so I'm like walking, and nothing's happening. So finally and they're like, do you want the epidural? And I was like, yes, like, please, like, I don't even, like, I'm not feeling anything. I don't feel no contractions. I don't feel nothing. But it's like, yes, please, like, I want the epidural, because my swelling would hurt so bad. Like, I didn't want to feel nothing anymore. I didn't care anymore. I was done. It came really fast. Epidural, that shit scared the fuck out of me. I did not want to do it at all. Like, I was so scared. Like, and they didn't even let my boyfriend hold my hand or nothing. Like, I was so mad. And the nurse was super rude. I'm not even gonna lie. He was really, really rude. But so I'm like hovered over. Like, he comes in, he tells me, you know, like, kind of like hunch over. So I hunch over, and he's like, and I'm like shaking because I'm so scared. And he's like, stop shaking. He's like, you're gonna paralyze yourself. Why you gonna tell a pregnant girl that? Do not tell nobody that's pregnant that they're gonna get paralyzed when they're sticking a big old needle like this freaking big inside their back. Do not tell nobody that. So he tells me that, and I look at my boyfriend, I start crying. Like, I started crying, and like literally my boyfriend did not want to watch at all, like, when they were sticking that inside of me. And so he did it. Girl, let me tell y'all, that shit hurt. It hurt so bad. Oh my god. And literally, I like flinched when he did it, because like I wasn't having no contractions, and they say usually they do it when you're having a contraction so you don't feel it. No, like, he did it. Oh my god, it hurt so freaking bad. Told me, like, I kind of like jumped up because I got scared when he stuck the needle in my back, and he was like, don't move. And I was like, how you gonna tell me not to move? Like, I don't understand doctors like that. I know I'm not trying to get paralyzed, but hello, like, what do you expect me to do? You stuck a big old needle in my back. Well, like, it feels like cold liquid, and it feels so cold. Like, I still get that sensation now, and it hurts so bad. Like, it just feels like a cold sensation in your spine. Like, it hurts so bad. And then whatever, he hooked me up, and I ended up not feeling nothing. I could still move my legs and my toes and everything, but got every single side effect known to man. I got every side effect. I was shaky. I was like crying. It was so bad. Like, my heart rate was going like crazy. Like, they didn't know why. Like, I kind of like calmed down, and I'm still laying there, and they check me, and they're like, oh, you're a 6, or you're like a 7. You're a 6, but you're almost a 7. And I'm like, girl, I couldn't be at least an 8. Like, what the hell? So I'm like so mad. Like, I'm pissed at everybody, because like nobody's helping me. The nurses really don't care like what's going on with me. Like, they didn't check on me. Like, the only time they checked on me was to check how dilated I was, and that was like after they gave me the epidural. That was like they never like really checked on me. So I was a 7, and he's like, you're still, they're like, you're still 7. My doctor's gonna come in, and he's gonna talk to me. My doctor didn't come in for like 3 hours. When he came in, and he tells me, if you don't dilate to an 8 or 9 within 3 hours, or no, in 2 hours, he goes, we're gonna give you a C-section whether you like it or not. You're gonna get it. And by this time, I was like so over it. Like, I was just like, give it to me. Like, I don't care anymore. Like, just, I'm done. And you know, a couple hours passed. They come and they check me. They're like, oh, congrats, you're 8 or 9. You're almost a 9. And I'm like, thank the Lord. Like, finally. They tell me, you're still not having contractions. I don't know how I'm dilating, but I wasn't having contractions. I wasn't feeling them. And they were like, we don't see them on the monitor. Like, you're not having any. And by this time, I already had epidural, so I didn't feel nothing. Monitor inside of you. and that's gonna tell us if you're having any, because we can't see it like with the one on your stomach. So they put the one inside of me, and they're like, okay, well, you're having little ones, you know, and they're close together, but they're not big. It was probably like 11. They come and they check me, and they're like, oh, you're 9 centimeters, like, you know, like you're almost there, like you're 9.5, like you're almost there, like, you know, just, you know, give me a good push. So they told me like to bend my legs forward and, you know, push a little bit. So I push, and they're like, oh my god, you did so good. I was 9 centimeters for 4 hours. I was 9 centimeters for 4 hours. And by this time, I'm starting to feel stuff. Like, I was feeling pressure of my baby's head, like, already right there. And I'm telling them, like, I can't do this. Like, I feel lightheaded. And they're like, no, you're not lightheaded. Like, you're fine. And I'm like, how you gonna tell me I'm not lightheaded? Like, girl, what are you talking about? They tell me, they're like, you're fine, like, you know. And I'm like, no, can you please check my blood pressure, like my sugars? And they're like, by this time I haven't eaten in 3 fucking days. And I'm like, can you please check, like, please, like, I'm begging you, can you please check? Well, it was already the 3rd day at night. They check my sugars, and they're like, do you have diabetes? And I'm like, no. And they're like, well, your sugars are super low. They're like at 20 some, like a 20 or something like that, or 30 or something. And they're like, that's considered diabetic because it was so low. And I'm like, I'm not, but what do you expect? I haven't eaten 3 fucking days. Like, my body's dehydrated. Like, I haven't had no sugar, no nothing. And like, I'm like not a sugary person, but I drink soda, you know. So I'm like, what do you expect? Like, I haven't eaten 3 days. And they're like, okay, well, we're gonna give you an orange juice. Let alone, that's the only thing I've like drank that had like sugar in it in 3 days. I literally drank ice water like the 3 days. That's all I had was ice water. And so by that time, they come back and they're like, okay, well, you can have orange juice. I'm still 9 centimeters. The epidural kicks on and off, and they hadn't kicked on in like a little bit, so I didn't feel nothing. Or I mean, I felt everything. By this time, I was running a fever. Let alone, my water had broke 2 days already prior to that. So my water was broke for a little bit, like, you know. And so I started getting a fever, and they're like, okay, maybe you got an infection because your water has been broken for a long time. Well, nothing was wrong with my baby. Her heart rate was still fine and everything. So like, I wasn't thinking it was her or nothing. I thought it was just me, like my body was tired. And so by like 2:30, 2:40, they come in and they check me, and they're like, oh, you're 10 centimeters, like you're ready to push. Tell me why I pushed for like 30 minutes. I was so exhausted. Did not sleep. I was so tired. I took naps for like 2 hours and 3 days. And by the time they tell me I'm 10 centimeters, it's already 2:30 in the morning the next day. So this was the 4th day already. I was just feeling pressure, so I just felt like I had to poop. And they kept telling me, you know what, it's just a baby, it's just a baby. And I'm like, no, I gotta push. And they're like, no, you know, it's just a baby. Tell me why. As soon as they tell me, okay, you're ready to push now, my epidural kicks in. My epidural kicked in, and you know how I told you guys that I had the monitor still in me? Well, they took it out, so they couldn't see my contractions. So, and let alone I had the epidural, so I couldn't even feel my contractions. So they just tell me, push when you felt like you had to push. When was that? Because I wasn't gonna feel it. The epidural kicked in. And so they have my legs up, and I'm like all the way laying back, like laying all the way flat on my back. And they're telling me like, okay, you know, like start pushing. They had a freaking IV. I just hit my lip. I had an IV right here in my hand. So they're telling me to hold my legs and like push. And I'm like, I can't. My thing's gonna blow out. And they're like, you're fine, like just do it. So I'm like pushing and pushing, and I couldn't feel my contractions. So I'm just pushing, trying to get this motherfucker out of me. Like, I'm just pushing and pushing. And they're just like, no, don't do that. Like, don't push like that because you're blowing out your face. Push with your body. And I'm like, I can't feel, like, down there. I don't feel nothing. You're not telling me when to push. I don't feel nothing. Like, what am I supposed to do? So I was already irritated, and I was just like, get her out of me. Like, I was screaming. And finally, like, as I was pushing, she was coming out. And they're like, do you want to feel her? And I'm like, no, I just want her out. Like, please, like, just get her out. Like, I was so over it. And I'm like screaming and screaming, and my boyfriend's like, she's almost out, she's almost out. And I'm like, don't fucking tell me that. Like, no, she's not. And he's like, yes, she is. Like, her head's out. And I'm like, no, she's not. And I'm like screaming and like pushing and pushing. And I'm like so exhausted, like done. And finally they had to get like a little suction to suction her out because I couldn't push. Like, I literally couldn't get her out. Like, my boyfriend told me that she was like coming out and like getting sucked back in and then coming out and sucking back in me. And my doctor is like, I'm hearing everything that's going on, but I'm trying to push. I heard him whisper to the doctor, should we cut her? And I'm like, did he just say he's gonna cut me? And he's like, did I say that loud? I'm like, yes, you're not gonna fucking cut me. Like, don't fucking cut me. And he started laughing, and I'm like, it's not fucking funny. Like, don't freaking cut me. Like, no. He's like, if you don't get her out, like, we're gonna have to suction. So he suctioned her out, and she came out, and they put her on my chest, and like, she was so cute. She was so little, but I was so tired. I was like crying. I was like, my baby. Like finally, like I didn't even care anymore. Like, I was so over it. And then they had to take her though because I was running the fever. What I hated is that they never checked on her. They only like didn't even check on me. But mainly when I ran the fever, let alone they didn't check on her to make sure she pooped. Because I was in labor so long, she pooped inside me without, like, I didn't have nothing, like, no water, no nothing for her in there, you know? So it was just her. So I guess they had to make sure that she didn't inhale her poop. Well, so as soon as I had her, they put her on my chest, and then they put her in a bed, and they took her to NICU. And right after that, I just remember like everybody like going out the room with her, and I was like, you know what, like, just go with the baby. Like, I don't care about me, just go with her. I remember them just pulling and pulling and pulling blood out of me. Like, I just felt like all this like coming out of me. By this time, that epidural was already gone, and it's probably like already 3:40. I had my daughter at 3:17 in the morning on the 4th day. And so I just feel them pulling and pulling all this blood out of me, and I just feel it like coming out, like, you know, falling. And I'm starting to get lightheaded, and I hear one of the doctors say, she's losing too much blood, like, give her like so and so, whatever. So I just feel a nurse pull out. I look at her, and she pulls out the like a thing, and she stabs me in the leg. And I'm like, by this time I don't even care. Like, I'm so lightheaded that I don't even give a shit. And I remember saying that like her uterus is like so exhausted. Like, her uterus is like just giving out so much blood. It's just pumping blood out. And all I remember is knocking out. I don't remember after that. Like, you lost a lot of blood. Like, we thought we were gonna have to do a blood transfusion. Like, we're gonna have to keep a close eye on you, because if you do need a transfusion, like, you're gonna need it right away. So they told me all this, but they tell me your IV popped out of your arm when you were pushing. I was so swollen from all the fluids and everything that they had gave me that they couldn't find a vein inside me. So she stabbed me probably over 6 times and couldn't find a vein. And they tell me, well, if we can't find a vein, like, we're gonna have to take you like somewhere. Like, all this was like scaring me, dude, because I'm like, I didn't have my baby. Like, she was already in NICU. Like, my family had already came in, but I was still like, you know, like scared, because I'm like, okay, I don't know what's going on. Like, I don't know what happened, you know? And they tell me it was just your uterus. Like, your uterus was really tired from all the Pitocin, like all the things we were doing. Like, your body's just tired. Like, you lost a lot of blood. So I'm like, okay, whatever. So they tell me, you know, we're gonna keep checking on you and see if you're okay. Let alone I'm losing blood because I just had a baby, let alone the blood that I lost already because of when I gave birth. You lose a lot of blood. I remember they wake me up and they tell me, you know, you need to take these pills. Like, you know, your body needs to clot. Like, your blood needs to clot so you don't keep losing. So they gave me this stuff, and I start like clotting or whatever. And I guess I did good because they put me in a room by myself with my boyfriend. And after that, I didn't even care. I just wanted to see my baby. And I was probably in the hospital about 4 days. And every 2 hours, I went to go see my baby. I didn't give a shit how shitty I was feeling. I went to go get up and see my baby. And they were telling me, all the nurses, they're like, oh my god, like, you're so strong. I don't know how you're getting up, walking around, going up and down stairs. Like, and I'm like, I don't care. That's my daughter. Like, I want to see my baby, you know? Like, I don't care about me. And they're like, well, you need a rest. Like, you know, you did go through like a really bad like labor. Like, you need a rest. And I'm like, I don't care about me. Like, I want to see my daughter, you know? And so the nurse is like, oh my god, you're so crazy. Like, all the nurses already knew me in there and stuff. And but yeah, and it was just a really, really hard like experience, because it's like now that I had a baby already, like I know what I want my next one to be like, my labor. And it's like, it's not like this time, like none of my nurses checked on me, like nothing, like they didn't really care. And it's like the fact that they didn't check on my baby, knowing like I was running a fever, like that really bothered me, because it's like I didn't know when your water's broken for a long time, you're more susceptible for infection. And they didn't tell me nothing like that. They didn't tell me that like I was gonna lose a lot of blood, like, you know. And it's so scary to think about, because if I would have had a C-section, like I probably would have died, because I would have lost a lot of blood. My baby didn't have like poop in her lungs or nothing. She was fine. She didn't have nothing wrong with her. It's mainly me that had everything wrong with me. But yeah, and it took me a long time to push too, because of how she was faced. So that's why they needed to help me have her. But other than that, like I would do it all again for my baby, honestly. Like I remember my boyfriend being like, "Are you ready for another one?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't care. Like I'll do it again, you know." But it's just a really scary experience, knowing that like nurses, like they don't, like some of them don't care like what you're going through when you're pregnant. It's like now I know to like I'm a very vocal person, so it's like now I'm gonna open my mouth when I feel something. Like none of the nurses cared. Like I was like what I was feeling, like they thought I was lying. It's like, no, like you don't know what a person's going through, you know. But yeah, like I don't know, I would do it all again for my daughter. I don't care. But yeah, that was like, it was really traumatic. Like I can't believe how long I was in labor for. Like, you guys hear my daughter? But yeah, so it's really crazy like what a female's body could do. But I'm just thankful that I'm here and that like I'm able to tell you guys this story, because it was so crazy. But yeah, that's it, guys. I hope you guys liked my video. Sorry if it was kind of like scattered, because I was still trying to remember like what times everything was, and it's kind of hard because it was so long ago. But well, not that long ago, it was like 9 months ago. But you know, as a mom, you forget things. But yeah, I hope you guys liked my video. I hope, you know, this is what all you guys wanted. So yeah, like, subscribe, comment, put the notifications on so you guys know when I post another video. Yeah, so if you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe.